award-winning Tennessee Wildcast is on the air with the latest on hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and outdoor expert novice, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee Wildcast. We're glad you're tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We're once again on the banks of the South Holston. Is that right, Sally? Sally's back with us, and she's going to talk to us about winter trout today. And we're glad to be back with Sally and having Matt here help co-host and hosting us in East Tennessee. We're glad to be here.
Yeah, buddy, we've got a lot of really good fishable waters here in East Tennessee, and trout, I think, is the first thing that comes to mind when I think about East Tennessee fishing.
Definitely.
So here we are.
Yeah, you can pretty much catch a trout any time of the year in this part of the state. Is that right?
Yeah.
And we just saw a guy float by. He's drifting in a drift boat, and I didn't see any fish, but there's fishing here because we know shocking expeditions with the fisheries crews have produced many netted fish, right?
Yes.
So says Sally.
That's right.
Yeah. So let's just reintroduce yourself. Let people know who you are, what you do for the agency, and then we'll jump into catching fish.
Okay, great. So I am the Streams and Rivers biologist for Region 4. So I work on beautiful rivers like this. This is a trout tailwater, but I also work up in the high elevation mountains with brook trout. That's a very large portion of my job, restoring the native brook trout. And then I work with
the only native fish, right?
The only native trout.
Trout, yes. I'm sorry.
Yes. But we have lots of native fish here.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for correcting me.
So I work with those and restore them back into their streams, but I also will work in some warm water streams, working with smallmouth bass, and then some just really, really beautiful species of darters that most people, and dace that most people never see, but I get the opportunity to work with them, so I'm very excited about it.
That's cool. Fish that a lot of people don't see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many fishes are there in Tennessee, roughly?
There are over 300 different species,
and
there's
that is,
a lot.
as far as a landlocked state, we claim to have the most, right?
Highest diversity of freshwater fishes. So
mountains in the east, all the way to coastal plain of the Mississippi River in the west.
Exactly.
And everything in between. So
Exactly.
we're proud of our fisheries resources.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and this is a great place to take advantage of those resources up here.
Right.
So a lot of fishing, a lot of water sports, a lot of activities on these streams and rivers and lakes. But today we wanted to touch on the trout fishing in the wintertime. That's one of your favorite times to be out. You said that you have a passion for that. Tell us why. And why is that such a great time?
Well, I have a passion for our winter trout program because it provides an opportunity for people who, or I guess that normally wouldn't want to go up into the mountains and fish for trout. Our winter trout here in Region 4 are stocked into areas that are city centers. So our anglers don't have to travel. We kind of bring the fish to them. And it's really exciting. These winter trout areas are very family friendly. So me as a fish biologist and someone who didn't grow up fishing, I really like to see areas that we provide for that type of fishing. It's the family fishing and the people who are new to fishing, but also they're great areas for people to learn new types of fishing. So there's a lot of people who will bait fish but want to try out fly fishing, and so I've seen those people out in our winter trout areas as well.
So to name those winter trout fishing areas of Region 4, and there's other ones across the state.
Definitely.
Maybe we can hit on those a little bit. But what do we have right here in this neck of the woods?
Yeah, so in Region 4 we have Fountain City Lake, which is just outside of Knoxville, northwest of Knoxville, I think, is Fountain City. And then we have our Maryville stocking, which is Pistol Creek, which runs into Greenbelt Lake. So we actually stock a creek and the lake there.
So you get the lake fish them and stream fish them
in
the same area.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly.
Are people taking advantage of both types?
They do. And when the stream fishing is hot, they'll be there, and then when that kind of cools down, they'll move over to the lake. So it's a neat opportunity over there.
What are the limits on both of those places?
Yeah, so we have our statewide limit of fish, of trout. We try to keep everything simple. Our regulation's simple there. We want people to feel like they're comfortable. So we've got the trout limit of 7.
7 daily creel limit, okay.
And we want you to take them home. Yeah. It's a take them home and eat them kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And what about Oneida? Are we still doing that one up there?
Yeah, we do have Oneida winter trout, and so we stock Fountain City Lake and the Maryville stocking 3 times. That's once a month, once in December, once in January, and once in February. And Oneida gets just a giant lump sum. I think it's January, so they get stocked once.
And it's a pretty good sized lake, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's another city center, although Oneida's not Knoxville, but they do have a lot of opportunity there. It's at the city park, so there's a lot of opportunity for other recreation there as well. So bring the family.
Yeah, that's what's great about some of these places. There's greenways and there's other things to do around those bodies of water, so folks can bring the whole family, and those that want to fish can fish, and those that want to swing on a swing set can do that, or walk around the track and things like that.
And as a reminder, you need your type 01 combination hunting and fishing license in addition to a trout license, or a trout stamp is what we commonly call it. So make sure you pick that one up too, because your type 01 is not enough if you're going to target and keep trout, correct?
Yep.
And of course your sportsman's licenses cover those as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's the one-day fishing opportunities, the one-day fishing licenses as well. If you just want to try it out for a day. But yeah, that's the way you can support what we do as an agency, to put the fish back and to provide opportunity. It's where the license dollars go. So that's how we're funded, and how folks like Sally can do the work to make fishing fun for everybody.
Because these winter trout fishing areas are 100% hatchery raised trout.
Correct.
Right? I mean, they had to get there somehow because they don't reproduce in those places. Here, you're probably getting some natural reproduction in the Soho, right? Watauga and et cetera. Now, we're in the fall going into the winter. Which is it? Is the brown trout that spawns in the fall?
Yeah, the brown trout should be spawning in the fall.
Are we past that?
I think so.
Until October's
I've got my mind on brook trout right now. Like, brook trout are spawning.
Didn't mean to change gears too much on you right there, but anyway, go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, so there's opportunities, like we said, to trout fish in the South Holston and all these other bodies of water, but then we bring them to these town city centers and whatnot. And the gear, you don't have to be an expert in the gear. You can. What do you suggest?
Yeah.
I mean, little trout magnets, little rubber trout magnets, or even corn. I mean, corn works in these waters, doesn't it?
I always tell people, especially if you're new, just keep it simple. You go into sports stores and you get blown away with the amount of gear and lures and this and that that's on the shelves. Keep it simple. If you want to go out there with a trout magnet or power bait, it's like Play-Doh almost looking with sparkles in it or whatever. You can pick your favorite color if you want to, or a kid can pick their favorite color. Stick it out there on a hook and just sit it. You can sit it on the bottom or put a bobber on to have it come off the bottom. That works. Whatever. And then in the creek, you can do the same thing. If you want trout magnet, or you put power bait, or I've seen people catch them on corn, and a lot of people in the Pistol Creek and the Maryville stocking have been catching last year. How we're catching trout on spinners out there. So it's a different type of fishing. It's a little bit more active than just sitting there. It's the type of fishing that I like a little bit more, is the active fishing. So
like a rooster tail or something.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Exactly.
And then light spin tackle is really all you need, right? Just a small spinning rod combo. 4-pound test line, pretty light line as well.
Well, the fish that we're going to be putting into Fountain City and the Maryville stocking are going to be a decent sized fish. I think they're going to be 10 inches or so. They're coming from our Buffalo Springs hatchery, who's shifting to a large larger rainbow trout. So you might want a little bit more than 4 pound, but I think it'll be fine.
Set the drag a little loose.
Yeah.
And
Enjoy the fight.
Play 'em out
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, but shout out to Buffalo Springs. Gosh, an old hatchery. A lot of neat history there as far as when that place was built and what it was originated as, what it's become today. Is just, it's neat to go down there and see those trouts by the tens of thousands in those raceways.
Oh, yeah.
And they get sent all over East Tennessee. And are we in the second year, or will this be our third year of these winter urban trout fisheries now?
So this will be the Maryville stocking will be the second year, and Fountain City, this was the third. And Oneida has been going on for a while. It's been going on since before I came to Tennessee. So I got here 3 years ago. So
and the idea is those fish need to be caught and taken home and eaten, right? Because they won't live when the water gets too warm.
Yeah, we've looked at water temperatures. Pistol Creek is actually cool enough year-round, surprisingly enough, but they get a lot of flash flooding because it is a city center, and so those fish, a lot of them could get washed down through that flash flooding into the lake. So yeah, just take them out, enjoy them, figure out what your favorite recipe is, and enjoy.
Hey, let's talk about cleaning trout just for a second. I don't want to digress too much, but when I was a kid, I would catch these things and take them home and cook them and eat them, and they were pretty good, but they were really, really fishy. And finally somebody told me, son, take your thumb or a knife and run it along the spine of that fish and get that, I don't know if it's a kidney or what it is, but in the backbone of that fish. Talk about that a second.
Yeah, so that is the kidney, and you just want to get all that, you want to get all the guts out. So people will say that it makes it, I don't know, fishier, or some people with catfish say it makes it taste muddy or something like that. I don't know. I just make sure I get all the guts out. And then my favorite thing is to wrap it in tin foil with butter and lemon, either lemon juice or lemons, and stick it on the grill. And
awesome.
Simple.
Yeah, simple.
Delicious.
I'm all about simplicity.
Yeah.
No elaborate menu needed, just a recipe needed, just a little lemon and grill it up.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So let's don't forget how we find these places. There, like I said, there's winter trout stockings all across the state, and tdmwildlife.org is where our list of locations are. And I know Brandon would tell us it's real easy. You just click. Brandon Simcox, our trout guy, he said he would just click on the location. It'll pull up a map and show you where to go, and then you can see all the regulations and all that stuff right there on our website. So it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would say. And then the other thing that Brandon does, which I thought was genius, but don't tell him I said that.
It's recorded now.
I know, correct. But he updates a stocking record that everyone can come on the website and look at. And so every Friday, I think it is, he'll update what has been stocked that week, which is awesome. Because I get a lot of phone calls in the office. Has this been stocked? Has this been stocked? And I just tell them, just go look.
Yeah.
Go look on the website.
You just like it is me.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this only for trout, or is this warm water species as well?
Well, we don't typically stock a whole bunch of catchable size warm water species, so it's usually just trout.
Okay, trout stocking schedule. Okay.
Yeah, he does a great job. I see that email every Friday go through we have the website updated.
Yeah.
And, it's great. Great to have that. Our website is a huge resource, a lot of good information there. A lot of things we get questions for on social media or calls, a lot of that can be answered right there. Just visit our website, tnwildlife.org, if you don't know how to get there. But a lot of great information. So so we know where they're being stocked. That information's there. We know our limits. We know what licenses we need. We've talked rods and reels. What else do we need to know about winter trout or just fishing in general?
Yeah. Well, those we've got about 40 winter trout stocking sites throughout the all of Tennessee. So it's
total.
not just in East Tennessee. Most of them are in West Tennessee, or not in Region 4.
Right. Explain to people why that is.
Yeah, so we, this Region 4 has lots of wild trout, as you can see behind us. We have lots of wild trout opportunities, and so it was thought that if people wanted to fish, they could just go whenever they wanted to in the Eastern Tennessee, but they don't have opportunities like that in, near Memphis or
Right.
in West Tennessee. So we provided those opportunities, but I think it's also important to provide the same opportunity because fishing out here is a lot harder than fishing, or at least I think it is. It's harder to fish out here and catch something and be successful than to go to Fountain City Lake or, Maryville and be successible there. So we want to provide an easy, family-friendly opportunity for people. I do surveys up and down the creek during the winter trout time, and a lot of the people from within the community have really enjoyed seeing people use the water and fish at the water and things like that. So and the businesses that are nearby have really enjoyed seeing it too. I think one of the restaurants was giving $1 off if you brought in your tackle or something like that. So cool. And they're right on the water. So it was really cool for me to see non-anglers embrace people fishing. So it was neat.
That's cool. And I'd say some of those families that use those bodies of water, or the community even, probably thinks, well, I need to keep this place a little cleaner and a little nicer because we like to use this.
Yeah.
And we want it to look nice. We want it to be clean.
Exactly.
I'd say that happens a lot. Yeah. What was the 3 R's you told us about last show when you were on?
Yeah, reduce, reuse, recycle.
Yeah, so I'd say that a lot of that's going on around those bodies of water. Yeah,
and they're clean, and it's neat to see, and it's neat to see them clean up too. I know a lot of people. Brandon, who went to school in Knoxville, Brandon Simclax, he got a text from one of his buddies about Fountain City Lake, and he's like, I can't believe there's people fishing at the Fountain City, lake. I thought it was just a duck pond. And he's like, no, people, it's actually really nice. There's not as many ducks on the water when the people are fishing. And so it's a really nice area now.
That's awesome.
So we're going to continue it into the future as far as you know?
Yeah. And these winter trout, at least in this region, it's really a partnership with the community, with the city there. And then we also have a partnership with Trout Unlimited for the Maryville one. And so we like to have partnerships with TWRA, and so we're going to keep those partnerships.
That's the only way we can make these happen, because we don't own small ponds in communities to be able to do this. No, we have access to public waters and rivers and streams, but these landlocked ones, we have to have cooperation with local municipalities to be able to do it. So has there been any talk of expanding the program because it's so successful where we're doing it now?
Yeah, we would like to expand out, and again, it's just these kind of stepping stones of making sure that these are successful, and then seeing what is working at Fountain City and the other winter trout areas, and what's not working, and then moving forward to make our other winter trout opportunities successful. Trout costs money to stock.
Absolutely.
And that's our customers' license money, right? And so we want to make sure that we're using that money wisely and using those trout wisely. So we want to put them in places that they're not going to be used.
I won't specifically mention where it was at, but we had identified another municipal public pond basically in a city that we thought would be a great spot, and it would be, but the water quality isn't there to support trout.
Exactly.
It had high levels of E. coli, I believe it was, so we had to abandon that one. So we can't just go chuck them out where we think this would be a good place for it. There's a lot of thought and research put into it.
Yeah. So we check the water quality and water chemistry and all that sort of stuff, and then I'll actually do surveys and make sure that people are catching the trout, and it's successful. And then if we feel from that data that we need to increase the stocking rates, then we'll do that, or decrease them or whatever, so that the trout are being used and the people are happy, right, and catching fish, and it's a successful thing for them. So
and then hopefully they'll keep coming back and maybe bring someone with them, and they may say, we've caught them in this pond. We say we go try a river or a stream somewhere, not even branch out and enjoy it in a different part of the state.
I'm getting the hang of it. Let's go try it on some other waters.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That would be that's what it's all about, you know.
Yeah. You brought up E. coli. And so we got some questions about contaminants in these city centers that we put trout into, and the trout that we stock are being put in those water bodies and then taken out. So with people asked about like mercury and PCBs and things like that, those contaminants take a while for the fish to uptake them. And so the fish are not really in the system long enough for those contaminants to even be issues. So I know people worry about it, but it's really not an issue in these areas.
I never even considered that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, and this makes me think, up in Pigeon Forge in Sevierville, was it the Little Pigeon that runs through the middle of town there?
Yeah, I think so.
You know, for years it was so polluted that there was like a water advisory against even coming in contact with it. They got that stream and that river so clean that now we stock trout in it for people to catch. And I just, man, what a pat on the back to everyone that helped get that water to where it'd be fishable. I mean, it's just, you wouldn't want to touch it before. You could even be in it. Now you can catch fish and eat it out of it. I think that's fantastic. So off the top of your head, other than these winter trout locations, are there places that you could say, hey, if you're wanting to go try trout fishing and you live in this area, go here? Could you make any other suggestions?
Oh, that's a good, well, I think it depends on what type of fishing that you want to do. So like we're on the banks of the South Holston, and it's a great place to go fishing for brown trout and rainbow trout. And a lot of people fly fish here. There's even guides on the river that you could take a guide trip down. If you're interested in getting native trout, Left Prong Hampton, up in, where is it? It's out of Hampton, Tennessee, I think, which is outside of Elizabethton. It was kind of in the middle of nowhere, but it's a really beautiful brook trout stream. You can catch really nice size brook trout there. And then I'd say, any of our stock waters are probably going to be really good. We have been increasing the number of streams that are delayed harvest. So we don't, and the Doe River, I believe, is one of them, and Buffalo Creek in our region is one of them. And those are areas where you can, there's special regulations. So it's not just a catch and keep stream.
Right.
It's a place where, you're going to catch larger fish, but you have to put them back. So there's a lot of different opportunities, and it just really depends on what you want. And that's why I think these winter trout fisheries are really cool, because you have the opportunity to try a smattering of different lures and baits and fly fish or whatever, and see what you like and see what's going to work for you before you drive an hour to the Doe River or Buffalo Creek or wherever to, catch the larger fish. So.
A smattering.
I know, sorry.
I like that. Is that a Pennsylvania colloquialism?
Maybe.
So if somebody wanted to catch brookies, that's we've said several times, that's our only native trout. If you just want to go catch a brook trout, where would you send someone?
Yeah, and that would be Left Prong Hampton Creek.
Okay.
There's a lot of other places. I don't know much about Region 3. Region 3 is south of the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, and they have a lot of good brook trout fishing as well. I think Sycamore Creek might be a good place. Yeah. And then there's great brook trout fishing in the Smoky Mountains National Park.
So you got to get up into the higher, colder, cooler streams.
Yes,
is that right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Would you find a brook out here or no?
No.
Not gonna happen.
Nope.
Okay.
No.
That's good to know.
Yeah. They're in little itty bitty streams.
And they're generally much smaller than I had anticipated. Now I know some of them get decent size, but I went with Bart and his son, and they caught one, 7 or 8 inches. And they're like, for this stream, that's a big fish.
Yeah, exactly.
And it'd be a tiny rainbow if you were catching rainbow trout. So it was cool though.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't, have not seen a brook trout, especially in its full spawning colors, they turn beautiful, beautiful. They've got oranges and kind of blues and reds, and they're really pretty fish. So
yeah. And talk about quick. I don't want to get into Arizona too much, but you said when you worked out there that there were trout in Arizona. What is there any that are indigenous to Arizona?
Yeah, so they have 2 native species of trout, and they're up in our brook trout are in our high elevations, which is like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 feet, right? Their high elevations are like, let's see, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 and up. Whoa. So we've got Apache trout in Arizona, and then there's the Gila trout as well. So very.
I don't think Arizona. And this is just because I've never been there. I just think about desert.
Yeah.
Think hot.
Yep.
Hot.
Yep.
Yeah.
It looks a little bit like Colorado. They've got the
Okay.
high peaks and the elk and the aspens and all those things. There's just a little splotch of it there.
Fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we mentioned this, but I kind of, if you could elaborate just a little bit, our trout for the winter trout program, we release them. We want people to catch them. We have to grow those trout.
Yeah.
What's the process of growing a trout?
Yeah.
Just a little bit of how it happens.
Yeah. So, we typically raise rainbow trout. They're a lot easier to raise than your typical brook trout or brown trout. And so you have to spawn them and get the eggs are released from the female, and the male will release sperm, or what we call in the fish world milt.
Okay.
M-I-L-T.
And that comes from fish we've shocked for, right?
Yes, we
Okay.
can shock them
Those
for them.
brood fish, I guess what
they
they're
call
called.
them brood fish, exactly. And so there's external fertilization that happens, and so you mix the eggs and the milt all together in like a bucket almost. And then
With a feather?
yes, you
Very
can do it with a
scientific.
feather.
I remember that from
Feather bucket.
college.
Yeah, so you do that, and then you basically then put them in. There's like hatching jars. There's a couple of different ways to do it, and I'm no expert. I'm the out in the field biologist, not the hatchery biologist.
Yeah.
So, but it takes. I'm not sure exactly how long every species is different, but that fertilized egg will grow up into a little fry, and it will emerge, and it'll have like a little yolk sac on it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it'll feed off of that yolk sac until it gets bigger, and then they'll start feeding them little teeny little flakes of food, and then they grow them up, and they'll usually do it inside, so that there's not varying weather conditions.
Control water temperature.
Exactly. And then once they get big enough, they'll move them outside. And it takes, I think it's like, well, it depends what size you want the fish to get to. But I think it takes over a year, and it takes over a year, maybe a year and a half to get a catchable size rainbow trout. So it takes a while. It's a lot of pre-planning for, winter trout. If we say, hey, we want to go stock, this new winter trout fishery, we have to plan for it pretty far
a
in
year or
advance.
more in advance. Yeah, it's like, hey, hatchery guys, we want to do this. Can y'all work a little harder this year or next year? Yeah.
Exactly.
Fish factory, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot of our hatcheries you can tour, maybe not right now because of the COVID stuff going on, but when those open back up, there's going to be opportunities where folks can go. I know Tellico is open. That's what I think about, Tellico Hatchery in Region 3, but are there any that happen in Region 4 you can stop by and see some of the stuff?
That's a good question. I think you probably could. I know, I think Buffalo Springs might be one, especially if you call up and ask. I think they're more than willing to kind of take you around.
Yeah, it'd be good for kids, maybe
It's cool.
homeschool kids or school groups to go check them out. But call and ask first with COVID going on. We're not in the office right now, but we are working hard for the sportsmen and women in Tennessee. So we're still hard at work, but we are keeping our social distance skills top notch.
There's no better place to social distance than out in the woods or on the water. And we saw a great uptick in licensed sales since COVID. And we're so thrilled to see people getting out and enjoying all the great outdoor activities that Tennessee has to offer. So stay after it, keep it up. If you try it and you fail, don't give up. Educate yourself, learn, keep going. You're not going to be successful every time you go out. I'm proof of that, but if you go enough, eventually you'll luck into something. I guess that's my story.
Yeah. And you'll figure it out, and you might just be that guy could hone in on it and make it happen every time.
Yeah.
And those winter trout fisheries are open, and there's a lot of area for people to social distance and still enjoy fishing.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, this has been great. Si, thank you for being with us for a couple shows, and Matt, thanks for co-hosting and setting this all
Let's
up.
do some more.
Yeah, we will. We'll be back in East Tennessee before you know it, but we appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, it's all about Tennessee wildlife. It's what we do. Tennessee Wildcast will be on the air again next week. We'll see you then.